So the other night I watched a bit of Stacey Dooley Sleepover. I love a bit of Stacey Dooley. And I don't know when it was filmed because I hadn't watched it for ages and then binge watched, hence the late night. The documentary on living with a kid with cerebral palsy and Down syndrome, and another one, and then the one that kind of really caught my attention was the trad wives, like traditional wives. And because I'm getting a lot of couples submitting their vows to me, and of course we're hitting wedding season, the role of the wife is quite a hot topic. And it was interesting because trad wife, I mean, it sounds awful, but it's actually traditional wife is what it stands for. And by the end of it, they're kind of going, well, actually, traditional wife seems to go hand in hand with religion. But then at this 10-year anniversary of this traditional wife, she wants to go into church and do the old school vows that got changed 53 years ago or something. And it was dealing with the backlash of, oh, well, you've put feminism back 50 years. And she's like, but have I? Because actually, if you speak to all the mums that are trying to have it all and juggle and live by society of the new way, they're stressed out of their minds. Whereas I've gone, not me, I've the lady on the telly, have done 2 masters. I'm really brainy. I have amazing conversations with my husband, who's also super clever. But I'm just embracing mum life 100% and being a traditional stay-at-home mum. And I don't feel bad about it. And I just thought that was really interesting. And she wanted to embrace it. She's like, that doesn't mean it's going to be like this forever. But whilst the children are along, that's where I'm at. And it got me thinking. Because I've also got naming ceremonies coming up. And I've got friends that didn't have any maternity leave, went back to work like 2 weeks in. I've got friends that never went back. And I've got friends that sort of dipped in and out. So I've sort of seen it from all angles. And I was worried when I went back about people frowning that I was going back. And actually, they were kind of frowning that I was thinking of not going back, which is in line with this traditional wife thing. And that was interesting. So I've been kind of making a collection of vows today, of traditional vows, modern vows, like humour vows. And obviously I have couples message me and say, can you give us some guidance? Can you read over our vows? What do you think? Can you write our vows for us? I would rather not write your vows for you, because embracing part of the celebrant role that you're going to hire is that you get the freedom to say what you want to say. And I'm only a fly on the wall for like a year, maybe 2. Some couples I've known them for like 4 years. Some couples have booked me for 6 weeks' time. And I only see that bit of your relationship. So to ask me to write your vows, I'm only ever going to see a fraction. Whereas you're in it. You know exactly what you're about. You know what actually, when you really don't like each other, what's still going to make sure you love each other, what's still going to make you come home at the end of the day and not just go AWOL. And that's for you to write. So I thought it might be helpful if I pop on here and give you a little structure of the vows that seem to work best for those people that like structure. That was the dog. That wasn't me, if you heard a growl. He's been knackered with this hot weather. So there's 3 points. It's a bit like essay writing, beginning, middle, end, right? You know I'm all about the heart and true love and just finding your baseline. So your why is what's got you there. I am here. No, sorry, scrap that. Your why is the end. It's the sign off. You're like, and that's what that is all about. Yeah, so that's your sign off. It's because I always write essays backwards. I go, here's the punchline and here's how we got there. So that's why I've done that, sorry. So your why is like the sign off. Your middle bit is your, like the meat in the sandwich. when you don't like each other, what are you actually going to do about it to make sure that you still love each other? So are you going to remain truthful? And what does truthful mean? Does truthful mean faithful? What does faithful mean? Does faithful mean body, mind, and spirit? Like you being on the phone to that chap for 3.5 hours a night when your husband sat watching the telly. Is that right? Maybe you should tell your husband to switch telly off and have a conversation with him instead. But if it's easier to speak to the other person, then you're strengthening that bond and not the bond that you should be keeping strong. So a lot of it comes down to behaviour, because we are what we do, essentially, because we're mammals. I'm sure there's a song there. You and me, baby, we ain't nothing but mammals. Anyway, we know how that goes. So that's the middle bit. So I vow, or I promise, or I pledge, or with every intention, I hope to. If you don't want to commit. I've got some couples that are like, to the best of our ability, this is us for at least the next decade. And then they are already saying that at their 10 years, they're going to do a renewal of vows. But so their vows on their wedding day, in their head, are only seeing them to the next decade, which is fine because it makes it manageable for them. So their vows are, to the best of my ability, I hope to, or my intention is that, fill in the gaps. Fill in the gaps might be to be faithful to you in body, mind, and spirit, to put toothpaste on your brush if I go to bed first so that you know that I'm saying goodnight. You know, it could be something flippant like that. It could be to love you in lockdown and freedom. We've put that in a few vows, just sort of add in a, yes, we got through lockdown, I love you in lockdown and I love you in freedom, because there is quite a lot of anxiety of the freedom that hopefully is coming. So that goes in there. And then the start is the gratitude. I'm so grateful to finally be stood here in front of you with our family witnessing that I stand tall and strong to declare that I love you above all others. That's your opening line, something like that. You have your big opening line, which is your declaration and your gratitude. I can't believe I'm here. I'm so proud. I'm really excited, or I'm so happy, whatever it is. But that's your gratitude, and your declaration is, I'm here. I'm super excited. I'm dead proud. Whatever. First bit. Middle bit, the chunk, the intention, the promises, in good times and bad, faithful, heart and body and soul. And usually that bit ends with, the middle bit ends with something that clocks that this is a human world love, i.e. till death do us part, as long as we both shall live, for our earthly life together, whilst we roam the earth. You know, to say, to give each other permission to love again when one of you will die. Because hopefully you all know by now that I'm a celebrant of, you know, bump to burial, all of it. And all of it counts. It's all a love story. It's you want to be together for as long as you both shall live, or till death do us part, or whilst we roam the earth. You know, all those things. So that's the middle chunk, is your declaration and declaration and gratitude. Into your chunk, your actual promises, how you are going to be a good spouse. It might be, I've had other people do this, promise the things they're not going to do. I can't promise not to look at Jessica Rabbit as she wanders past, but I have every intention of looking back at you. Like, it depends how you want to play that. You might say, I can't promise that I'm going to be perfect, but I can promise I will try every single day. I can't promise that I'm not going to annoy you, but I shall promise to always come to our marriage with the best intention. You see, it's about behaviour, and it's about, it's almost about having the divorce question first. So if you are going to argue, and if you know you already argue, what's going to split you up if you don't sort that out? If it's pride, at the end of the day, whenever you guys have ever had an argument, has it come down to the fact that someone hasn't said sorry? And if it has, then that's pride. So that's what needs to go in the vows. You need to say something like, I can't promise my pride isn't going to get in the way, but I will promise to make sure it doesn't divide us. It's a bit half-hearted. You should just promise that your pride won't get in the way, because pride is pretty much the root of all evil. Because they're like, he's so proud. And it just, it leads into so many, just don't, keep your reputation, but don't be proud to the point where it destroys your marriage. That's just foolish. So that's your middle section. And the last bit is your why. What brought you here today? I come here with every intention to make you happy. The happier you are, the happier I am. I'm happy because you're happy. Like, what's your why? When the hits the fan, when that behaviour might go off, when you stop feeling grateful, if those things start to unravel, you've still got your why. And that's what will mend. That's what will sort that out. Your why is making you happy makes me happy. Or I feel so free due to the love that I have for us, that I have every intention to make sure we feel this free in our relationship. That's a bit floaty, but you know what I mean. If you don't want to know what I mean, message me. And then I was thinking, I'm actually going to put that in a bit of a PDF, and then I might put it as a downloadable on my website. I might not. You might just have to log in and listen to me waffle. So there you go. Wedding vows. Why are you doing them? What kind of person do you aspire to be? It doesn't have to be the person you are now. It could be the intention of the person you want to be, but it does need to be realistic. It does need to... It doesn't need to, because wedding can be what you like, but it's helpful to have those 3 sections. It's helpful to have gratitude. It's helpful to actually make some promises. I've had vows through that are just, isn't life wonderful? And I have to reply and say, haven't actually promised anything. And they're like, oh yeah. So at your vows, do actually vow something. Do make a vow. It could just be, I give you my word. And my word is, I do. To everything you think wedding is, my vow is, I do. And then we will unpick what you think marriage is, because what you think marriage is isn't what someone else marriage thinks, as Stacey Dooley discovered when I was watching Trad Wives. And then you sign off with your why, because if it all starts to unravel, you go to your why, which is your baseline, and you start to build it up again. There we go. Thanks for all joining. Lots of love. Bye for now.